Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
How is everyone this spring evening?
Great.
Great. Excellent. And I'm sure that you're even better if you have wandered through the galleries before you got here. No, not yet? Okay. Well, you have an opportunity afterwards to go through the galleries and see this incredible exhibition that we have on view. Before I dive into our welcome, I just want to remind everyone, if you will please silence your devices before we have our conversation this evening. And as I was saying, I'm just incredibly excited about the new exhibition that has opened, We Belong Here. It is the kind of message that we need to hear loud and we need to hear often. And it's an exhibition that reminds us what an important third space that the Cameron Art Museum is for all of us here in this community. So with that in mind, I want to thank One Cruz and Jeffrey Childers, the collectors for the exhibition. And then also to our sponsors for the exhibition, for Alan and Megan Boyd, for Dr. Michael Fries II and Bo Dean Jr., and also for an anonymous sponsor who has helped with the incredible lineup of programs that we have associated with the exhibition. So this is the first in a series of conversations where you have an opportunity to meet the collectors, as well as several of the artists who are in the exhibition. And with us tonight, we have Beverly McIver. Beverly McIver is widely acknowledged as a significant presence in contemporary American art and has charted a new direction as an artist. She has accumulated more awards and honors than many artists receive in a lifetime, which she pays forward by teaching younger generations about the power of art and the hard work it takes to make it a career. McIver is professor of the practice of art and art history and visual studies at Duke University, and prior to this appointment, she taught at Arizona State University for 12 years. McIver was born and raised in Greensboro, North Carolina, as one of 3 daughters, including her sister, Renee, who has developmental disabilities, of a single mother who worked multiple domestic jobs to make ends meet. She eventually received a BA in painting and drawing from North Carolina Central University and an MFA in painting and drawing from Pennsylvania State University. Her career as a painter are reminders to herself and her audience of the journey she endured in order to understand the many aspects that collectively shape her identity. The images are also powerful statements about larger issues that affect and challenge everyone. Please help me welcome
Hello. I am completely honored to be here. This is actually my first time at this museum. So it has already been a treat, and I think I'm gonna come back tomorrow and take a second look at the exhibition, which I have a painting in the exhibition. So I'm just gonna say one thing about the exhibition, and I want to thank the Cameron Art Museum for collecting my work early on. I mean, wow. You know, when everybody's saying, "She doing what?" You know, they bought a painting of my father, who is one of the people I'm going to talk about tonight. So thank you for that. And also, thanks to Jeff and Anya, who bought a painting of mine also early on, like 30 years ago. And just about, I think like a couple of weeks ago, we were at a party together, and I asked them if I could have the painting back. I said, you can pick out any one you want. Can I have that one back? And they said no. So the one they got away. All right. So I'm gonna just briefly talk about my history. Can these be darker, or is this, yeah? So, all right. I am the youngest of three daughters born to Bevely McIver. That's my mom. My mother was a domestic worker all of her life. She cleaned and raised white children as if they were her own. She was really good at ironing, and the kids that she took care of loved her like a parent, because she was that kind of giving person. In 2004, my mother was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And 3 months later, she was dead. We stood around her bedside to pray for her ascension. This is my sister, Renee. Renee is currently 62 years old and has the mindset of a third grader. She has epilepsy, and I am her legal guardian. When we were growing up, Renee was very violent, and she used to throw things at me, and my mother would always say, "It could have been you. You could have been the one that could have been mentally disabled." And so she taught me not to, fight back. And so I made these paintings. These paintings are old too. They're like early 1992 or 3 of Renee. And I'm trying to come from behind Renee's shadow, basically. You see the smudged figure over to the left. That's me, and Renee's in the foreground. And this is about as far as I get with that. So, I don't know if you can see it, but scratched into this painting, it says, help me, right? Because Renee was such a big force. And if Renee wasn't feeling well, we couldn't do anything. So this is the last painting that I did in that series. And this painting is called Can You Hear My Silent Scream? So, a little bit about me as a youngster. I joined the clown club at Grimsley Senior High School in Greensboro, North Carolina. And there were no black clowns. I was part of desegregation, and so I was bused primarily across town to white schools. And so I had to be a white clown. And I would dress up, I would dress up, I made this blonde wig out of yarn and grease paint, and I would wear my grandma's pajamas, you can see here, as my clown outfit. And I put pillows around my belly so that I could be bigger. This particular piece, I was so enamored with being a clown that when Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus came to town, I decided to try it out. So over there, they said the average age for trying out to be a clown at the circus was 27. I was 26. And so I tried out, but I got rejected. My mother would say, "Thank you, God." So what I did instead was I went to graduate school. And I started making paintings that I saw a performance at Duke University where these people were on the stage dancing in blackface. And it gave me the idea that, oh my God, I could actually be a black clown. Prior to that, I didn't think that I could. And so then I started doing things that are stereotypical of how people perceive black people, like eating watermelon, like eating chicken, like my mother as a domestic worker raising white children. So I did a whole bunch of work based on those kind of things. And then I went to, got a fellowship to Harvard, Radcliffe Institute of Advanced Studies. And that is where I met Gene Jordan and Steve Asher, filmmakers from Massachusetts. And they said, we really like the way you paint and how you make beautiful paintings. And we would like to make a film about you, right? So, I'm thinking, okay, home film, whatever, okay, you can come and film me. But they made a film. It took them 6 years of following me. And Raising Renee was created. And it was an HBO documentary, nominated for an Emmy. So I'm going to show you just a quick clip of Raising Renee. This is a painting I did that's on the cover of Raising Renee.
Tell me about Renee.
She makes pot holders. Renee was born mentally disabled. She has the mindset of a third grader.
Remove the pain, Lord.
Appreciate your prayers, but it's fine if you can't come over.
She couldn't imagine she was not going to be here.
Our home would have been broken if that Negro had stayed. Excuse me for saying Negro so much. That's my usual vernacular.
I grew up in the projects in Greensboro, North Carolina. When I was 17, the Klan showed up with guns and killed 5 people right in front of our house. Everybody knew that I had made this promise. So everybody was asking me, what are you gonna do about Renee? Damn, I gotta get that macaroni and cheese cooked. Before I go to work tomorrow, she won't have any lunch. My God, my life as an artist has gone down the tubes. Kind of like me and Renee, Renee said she wanted to get a boyfriend.
He has the master plan.
Yes.
If you worrying about something, stop it.
Thank you, Lord.
I like it.
Okay. So this played on HBO for 20 years. And I understand that they showed it here at the museum last year, so thank you. You can see it for free. It's not on HBO anymore because it was made 15 years ago now. Yeah, 15, 16 years ago. But you can, if you Google Raising Renee, it'll come up on Pluto, Plex, one of those stations, okay? So, now I'm going to talk about my dad. So, my mom, when I was 17, my mom said to me, I have something to tell you. And I was like, what? She said, your father's standing at the door. And I turned around and this guy is standing at the door and I was like, what? Because he's not the man that's on my birth certificate. My mother was married and she had an affair with my father, and then I'm a product of that affair. So my mother was really, really angry at my father because she had hoped that he would take her out of a bad marriage. And he just wasn't capable of doing that. It's not who he was at all. And so I couldn't develop a relationship with my father until after my mother passed away in 2004. And I began to visit him and hang out with him and make paintings of him. And so this is one of the paintings that I started years ago of my dad, me and my dad embracing. And all of a sudden, there was like a mask over his face. And it frightened me, so I put it aside and painted the face in on this one. So it's still incomplete, the other painting is. So I wanted to have a relationship with my father because, my father had already said, don't depend on another man's pocket. He'll kick you out of his house and leave you and you'll have nothing. And so I didn't realize how much that impacted me, and still does, because, yes, I have money, and yes, I have a home, but I was never able to really trust, specifically Black men, because he spoke so poorly of them. So here's my dad. What happens is that my dad falls. He's living on his own. He's 95 years old. He falls in the middle of the night, going to the bathroom, and he gets banged up pretty bad. So he goes into the hospital, and he's like, I'm gonna he goes in the hospital, and then he does rehab, and they're like, you can't live on your own anymore. So he actually comes to live with me. This is the first time, I don't even know him really, honestly. So he comes to live with me, and oh my God, I fell in love with him. I completely fell in love with him. I just learned so much about him, like he likes his eggs over easy, and we would lay in the bed together and eat ice cream sandwiches. And I literally just fell in love with him. So one of the things that he would do when I would see him early in my life, he would give me $20 to show that he loved me. That was the $20. Okay, right? And so my father, after about 4 months in 2020, I get COVID and my dad gets COVID. And it takes my dad out, right? He dies from COVID. And I was very, very sick along with him. This is the image of him lying in the bed. He's not dead up on this picture. But I saw him lying there, and I just snapped this picture because I thought it was beautiful. So I had a really tough time because I had fallen in love with this man, and all of a sudden he was gone, right? And so I was really, really depressed, and my father, in his will, he leaves me a safety deposit box key, right? So I'm thinking, oh God, what's in the box, right? So I go to the bank to open the box, and I see my handwriting on notes and letters and Christmas cards and that I had sent him over the years. And he kept them all, and he kept the money that I sent him. So $45,000 cash in those envelopes, which is a real true statement for him about how much he loved me, right? Because he left me with this. So I put this slide in because I like this saying this was written during COVID. We will not go back to normal. Normal never was. Our pre-corona existence was not normal, other than we normalized greed, inequity, exhaustion, depletion, extraction, disconnection, confusion, rage, hoarding, hate, and lack. Boy, does that sound like today. We should not long to return, my friends. We are being given the opportunity to stitch a new garment one that fits all of humanity in nature. So this girl is Sonia Renee Taylor. And she wrote this, and I just loved it because I thought it was quite poignant. In 2020, when I first saw it, but even today, in 2025. I'm going to jump back to talking about Renee, because she still remains a big influence as a muse in my studio. I paint her still, along with my father. And Renee is, this photograph was taken just a couple of, last week, of Renee coming to visit. And unfortunately, Renee has dementia, and she's legally blind in one eye. And so she has a hard time getting around, and, you know, she's unhappy. So when she was living on her own, that's the end of the movie. She goes to live on her own in her own apartment for 12 years. And just a couple of years ago, I went and got her and put her in assisted living because, she was hallucinating and thinking people were walking on the roof of her apartment and things like that. Well, I chose this assisted living because they had all the activities that she loved. Playing bingo, she could make pot holders there, they had church every Sunday, 3 meals a day. It was, I thought it was perfect. Like, it was perfect. And I looked at a lot of places for her to live. And I couldn't, in good conscience, have Renee in a facility that's run by Medicaid, because they are so horrible. I looked at several of them, and I found Chatham Ridge, which is where Renee lived for a year, and I had to pay out of pocket for it because they did not accept insurance. So Renee's there, she's making pot holders. She's also losing a lot of weight, in part because she's not eating, and she's just depressed. And so, as you can see, sorry. So this thing happens where I'm like, oh my God, what am I gonna do about Renee? Every time I go visit her, she was just 20 minutes away from me, and I would go visit her 3 times a week, take her out to lunch, eat dinner in the cafeteria with her, all those things. And she was unhappy. And she would say, please take me out of here. Please take me. And I was like, well, I can't, because, I have, I have a career that I can't take care of me by myself. And what she did while she was there was she started writing things like, I'm sorry to my family. And and I would say, really, what are you sorry for? And she would say, I don't know, And she continued to make pot holders, but she also decided that she wanted to draw. So she started making these drawings in addition to making the pot holders. She actually became really, really good at it. And what I would do is that I would use some of the things that she drew in paintings, like that little blue sad face is Renee, and I put it in the painting. So I'm going to read you a letter that I wrote to my mother about my decision to put Renee in this facility. Dear Mom, it's been 16 years since you left this earth. You asked me to take care of Renee. At the time of your request, I didn't really think that you would have her die. I mistakenly thought that parents live forever. They provide an endless stream of love and support. At the very least, I thought I'd be wealthy enough to afford good care for Rennie. I never knew that I could or would love Rennie as if she were my own child. You didn't tell me that I would have to learn to be selfless about my decisions I make on her behalf. I had to fill your shoes and find it within myself to love only like a parent loves their offspring. What was it that you saw in my young self, Mom, that made you think that I was capable of caring for Renee? I wasn't married, I have no kids, and I moved far away from North Carolina as possible to live. That's when I was living in Arizona. There was no evidence to support your decision. The learning curve was steep, as I had no idea how to make my mentally disabled sister happy. Despite my reservation, Renee was happy and thrilled, in fact, to be with me. She loves, even today, she'll say, can I come home with you? She looked at her life as a new adventure. I provided for her, and she loved me unconditionally. She taught me about true love. Rennie lived in an apartment for 12 years. She embraced her independence and thrived. 2 short months ago, I moved Rennie to assisted living. She lives 20 minutes away from me, and I visit her 3 times a week. She's having a difficult time adjusting. She's in the early stages of dementia and is legally blind in her right eye. She cries daily and she feels abandoned. Mom, I don't know what to do. She stopped making potholders and writes, I am sorry to my family and friends. When I ask her why it's what she is sorry for, she looks down and says, I don't know. It breaks my heart to see Rennie in so much pain. I am sad and I am angry. I've made a lot of sacrifices for Rennie, and she's simply not happy. What would you do, Mom? Would you go get Renee and take her out of this home? So this actually came to me when, because I was thinking like, oh, I need help. I don't know. I put her in a home. I did, textbook like what you're supposed to do, and she's unhappy. And so my mom writes me back, and she says this, Beverly, I did not ask you to take care of Renee solely because it brings me peace. I knew it would change the course of your life and empower you to tell your story. To tell your story through painting. Art has the power to heal. Your gift of painting resonates with others and provides a refuge for all the other caretakers, parents, and humans that make sacrifice for loved ones. You have a gift and a great life. Look what you have accomplished. You should be basking in the glow of your lovely life, full of love, respect, and courage. So Renee, this potholder on the left is an older potholder, Renee, where she would sew a label on that said "Made with Love by Renee." And the potholder on the right is a recent potholder, like 2 days ago recent. And now, because she can't see and because, she can barely walk, she's just not making potholders in the same manner. So I put these few pictures of my studio because I just recently built a studio for myself at my house. And I wanted to show you my sacred space where I work, where I love to be, where I get rejuvenated. And also, I wanted to show you what I'm currently working on. So these are images, this is my studio. These are images of Renee's current potholders that she's making, and she's not finishing. The piece that's on the easel is Renee holding up a potholder, but it's not in and out weaving like she normally does. So this I just started. I can't wait to get back home to start to keep painting it because it just seems so poignant in terms of her. She's got cornrows now because my sister, had her hair that way, and the disconnect that happens in the potholder that she's holding up. She's got loops on her wrist that she pulls off to create paintings. So what's happened is that normally I work from a primary palette. That means I use 2 reds, 2 blues, 2 yellows, and white. And because these potholders are so vibrant, I had to change my palette. And as you can see, I'm working with some colors that normally are not part of my So last week, when Renee was living with me in Arizona, we used to go to Las Vegas to go to the casinos because she loved playing Wheel of Fortune, right? And so I found out that there's a new casino in Danville, Virginia, and that you could go there and I played Wheel of Fortune. So I took Renee there, and she can't really see very well still. And I said, look, Wheel of Fortune. And, I put $20 in the slot machine, which it snorted it up like, and I kept saying, Renee, hit the button, hit the button. And I said, look up, the wheels are spinning. She couldn't even see. She said, I'm looking up. And I said, no, you're not, because she was looking down. And so, after $100, I was like, this ain't fine. And because she couldn't see anything, I thought we could just sit here and I could just tell her to hit the button. And I don't have to put money in this machine. Because it was that act. So recent picture of me and Renee after, in the casino, actually. She didn't remember going to the casinos in Las Vegas. And so this was not, I thought it would be special and, perk her up and everything, but she couldn't remember. So she was like, when are we going to your house? So we leave the casino. This is what's hanging in my studio right now. I'm doing a portrait of myself and Renee, happy. And I'm making, these are Renee's potholders now, right? Very, very different, But to her, they are the same. She thinks that they are finished, and she thinks that they are beautiful. And so I just decided, oh, they are beautiful. And I've been using them, because she gives them to me, I've been using them to make paintings. So just so you can see a little bit about, this is how it starts. These paintings are 30 by 30 inches square. And, they're all have these beautiful mistakes because they miss the beat, or much like life, right? I think it's an interesting metaphor for dementia and what happens to the human brain when, we lose it. And I'm trying to talk about that by creating these potholders. And I don't know enough about it to know where I'm going with it, so don't ask me. I don't know. I'm just in there making art. But they're just, I'm glad that she is at least making them. She's not drawing anymore. And these potholders are like a ray of light. This is what I would say is who Renee is inside. She's just a ray of light. And boy, I feel so lucky that, that I'm her legal guardian and that I have this opportunity to continue to use her image, whether it's a portrait of her or potholders in this case, to create artwork to talk about my journey and the importance of caretaking and dementia. So I'm thinking like 12 of these in a grid. I think I have 6 done now. Okay. So 2 things last that I want to talk to you about is that it's funny because somebody talked to me about visiting Yaddo since I've been here. And I said, oh yeah, I love Yaddo. I was on the board. Yaddo is an artist colony in upstate New York and in Saratoga Springs. And you can go there, if you get accepted, you can go there for free, right? And they feed you 3 meals a day. I mean, it's like, they take care of you. It's a real refuge. And I used to go there a lot before taking care of Renee. So one thing that I've decided to do is to create an artist residency. And the name of it is Renee's Place. And it's for any artist, visual arts, writers, all of the gamut, right? And Billy Zinn, who is the architect who created the Obama Library, has agreed to design Renee's Place for me for free. Hallelujah. She's just been, I met her when I was at the American Academy in Rome, and she's been a big fan. It's like, yes, we want to do this. So Renee's Place will open this fall. Thank you. Duke has agreed to partner with me because the building has not been built. So my studio at Duke, which is about 900 square feet, will be, in the fall, will be the space where the artist goes. And there'll be, the residency you can stay for as little as 2 weeks to 4 months. You'll get a $3,000 stipend to, somebody said, it's hard to leave your life, right? Because the rent still keeps going, the mortgage keeps, whether you're there or not, it doesn't matter. So you'll get a stipend and, meals, and you can sit and do nothing, whatever you need to rejuvenate yourself. So that is what is next for me. And I just finished writing a book with my good friend Kim Bogany. And this is the class that I teach at Duke. It's for the business side of being an artist, right? So it's like I teach students, graduate students mainly, how to write a grant, how to do an elevator pitch, how to put together a portfolio for a job, how to apply for, shows, how to get a New York gallery, whatever, all those things. And so in my catalog, Full Circle, it's the Q&A section in the back that we submitted to, just me and Kim talking about everything, right? We submitted it to this publisher, and they said, we love it, and we want you to, write 6 chapters about, just expand on what you're doing, what you are talking about in the catalog. And so that's what's happening. It's gonna come out in July. Oh Lord, July, it's like tomorrow, right? And Kim told me to make sure if you are interested in, I think that this gets 25% off. She said, please write her, put it on I don't see her email up there, but it's, actually I don't know what it is. I should. Sorry. We are friends. She's gonna fuss at me. But anyway, if you're interested in the book and you want a discount, 20% off, please add your name to. I'm gonna put a list right here. And then the publishing company will contact you once it comes out. Thank you. I brought with me just a couple of pot holders, just so that you could actually physically see them. So this is regular, and this is current. So very different, right? But it's still beautiful. Even though, it looks like life to me, just hanging on. And the tension that is created because she squeezed it so tight in making this, is one of the things that I'm interested in capturing in my paintings of these new pot holders.
I don't know if we have any questions in the audience for Beverly, and I will also say if anyone wants to email me, I can make sure that I direct that email to them.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
Yes.
The painting that Cameron has of his father,
Oh, yeah.
which is, never mind. That's amazing. You used, I don't know whether it was with a palette knife or with a brush, but how do you load so many colors in one stroke? How do you do that?
Actually what happens is when I go in my studio and whatever, I'm just going there and I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do today? And, my father will say, well, you're gonna paint me. Or Renee will say, well, you're gonna paint me. And sometimes I'm down for it and other times I'm like, I don't wanna paint that, I wanna paint something happy. But the painting that you're referring to of my dad is some of it is, I believe, collage, and it's just oil paint, which I love. It's creamy, and the brush, that connection of the brush meeting the canvas, and the canvas sort of, caving in just a little bit to bounce back, is part of the pleasure I get in making paintings. And I actually see all those colors in my dad's face, in Renee's face and my face.
What was so interesting, I think, is that when you're up close, you see a lot of colors.
Yeah.
And when you're 20 feet away, it looks like your dad. So do you have to run back and forth?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely, and that's how I teach too. It's like, because you're so focused and you're so close up on it. My teacher used to always say, you want the painting to tell two stories, one up close and one from a distance. And so you have to paint like that, right? So I often stand back and look at the paintings and say, okay, it's coming together. But when I'm up there, I can hear the person breathing that I'm painting and saying, okay, put a little bit over here, cerulean blue, that's what we need, or, whatever. I mean, it literally is an exercise in listening to one's inner voice to create a painting. And my inner voice is way smarter than I am consciously. So.
Your most recent paintings seem to have a lot less paint on the canvas, like for the pot holders. They almost look like, not watercolors, but they're thinner.
Well, I don't think that they are, first of all, they're not finished. And secondly, my idea in my head is to go back on top of the oil paint that I've already put down with oil sticks and really capture the texture of those loops and, the ones that are standing up or drooping or whatever. So, yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Does Renee make potholders every day, like one a day, or does she have good days and bad days?
I mean, I think I speak to Renee every day, and I'll ask her, did you make potholders today? And she'll say yes. But, she used to have a big stack of them, right? And she's so proud of them. And now, when I took her to Danville, Virginia, I went through, she's got 2 huge tubs of loops. And I went through them, and these were stuck in there. I think I have about 10 of these now. So, yeah, so one a day is probably too much.
Grace us with your thoughts about how, as the caretaker, you have discovered more about your own journey. It strikes me that almost everything you've made, in a sense, is a self-portrait, even though it's a family member or an object. How has that journey been?
It's been great. I was just telling someone, even though I've been through some tough times, I feel so blessed to have Renee in my life. And I just said to my boss at Duke recently, I was like, I think she's not going to make it, to the end of this year. She's just declining so quickly. And I said, who will I take care of? Because that's been my role all my life, right? So, and my boss said to me, he's like, you could take care of yourself. Which is very foreign, what? Take care of myself? So it has been, I think being a caretaker for my dad, the ability to forgive him for not being present when I was a youngster, the idea of falling in love with him, making him eggs, and grilled cheese sandwiches. It has enriched my life and made it completely full, right? So, and it's totally made me a better person. Renee taught me about unconditional love. If we called her right now and said, Renee, who's your favorite sister?